Now, future. How do you think subconscious visualizations of the future might affect your body?
Well, you can take yourself to be paranoid, or you can do the opposite.
Yeah.
Start walking.
We got both versions, right? You can feel paranoid, or you can be told by a doctor that in 10 years you're going to be in a wheelchair. And every time you feel something in your hip, you're like, oh my God, that must mean that it's just going to get worse. What are you communicating to the body?
And believe that doctor.
Exactly. You're right there in exactly. It's right there in the limbic system, and your body's going, alert, 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 something's coming up, and it's going to respond to it. But if you, when you have that, you go cancel, 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 or F you, or whatever you want to do. And then go, you know what? I have more power to lead my body in whichever direction I want. I might as well lead it towards where I want to go than towards where I don't want to go. Right? There's actually, there's several studies, and I've told you guys before, in when people break their leg and the leg is in a cast, the longer the leg is in the cast, the more weakness the muscles have. Because there's no movement in the body, right? No movement in that leg. However, if that person, during the whole time they have the cast, is watching sports on, on especially things they love, like skiing. If they're skiers, they're watching skiing all the time. And then they close their eyes and they visualize themselves doing that skiing. When the cast comes off, the muscles are just as strong, if not stronger. So visualizing, not for me, this is just going to get worse, etc., but visualizing the things you love doing physically. Again, it's going through your limbic system. Your brain's going, I don't know, but Lisa's running today. Okay, well, we better get these legs a little stronger going, So if like one day you don't have you're like, oh, I can't do my standing frame today. I'm just going to visualize doing my standing frame today. That's just as relevant. Or I'm going to visualize while I'm there, I'm going to do some boogie woogie and then doing it. Because the more you're doing it in the mind, the more the limbic and the brain is getting the messages. These muscles need to be renewed. She seems to want to do boogie, or she seems to be doing boogie. And so that's why things like hypnosis, visualizations can really address those elements. And that's what will influence the body. And since we're doing it all the time, we might as well do it proactively rather than worry, 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 or imagine the worst. Yeah. So for example, if when you notice a new symptom, instead of like, oh my God, this is worse, this is gonna, this is gonna be worse, this is da, 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 you say, hey buddy, let me imagine what I want you to be like, right? And just take a moment to, like me with the clay, it's like, wow, my feet are clay today. Let me close my eyes, imagine what that's going to be like, and then start my day. What's interesting about doing visualizations is they only need to do it, you only need to do it like 3 times a day, 3 minutes each time. That's it. Because all you're doing is just going, hey buddy, this way, hey buddy, this way, hey buddy, this way.
So you said 3 times a day. So you're saying that'll become like a natural habit?
It's to help influence the body, to steer the body towards where you want. So for example, if I have a client who has broken their arm and their arm isn't healing, I'll do 2 things. Well, 3 things. What are the emotions? If there's a lot of shame, it's going to keep the arm from healing. If what happened in the accident is still like a big thing for them, it will keep it from healing. So I want to make sure there's no unresolved memories. I want to make sure there's no unuseful emotions, because all of that is going to influence. And then I have them close their eyes 3 times a day and visualize knitting the muscles, knitting the bones back together. And that will accelerate by like 50% the mending of those bones, because you're telling the bones, hey, this, hey, this, hey, this.
I like your clay feet example because not only are you shaping and molding, but you're giving such tender care to your feet that are not feeling well,
Yeah.
you know?
So it's changing the emotional, it's changing, right? Yeah. It's giving them guidance. Let's do this. Yeah. And it's not going, oh my God, here we go again. I just activated again. Darn it.
I know you're here and I'm taking care of you, you know?
It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And that's the best piece. I had fun to be honest. It's like, I need to get some clay. I'm really liking this. All of those are going to be positive emotions, which then flood the body with dopamine, apart from parasympathetic. So those also.
I find that using, I use the yoga nidra practice to help for the parasympathetic nervous system. And it can be really helpful to just have that guidance through that. So then you don't have to, do something, but more you just listen and your body participates in that process of relaxing.
Yeah.
And allowing yourself to go into these deeper states.
To go into that relaxation. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's.
And once you go into that space and you kind of know what it feels like, oftentimes I'll tell my clients, for example, I have a client who, when he's about to cross the road, he's got to do the crosswalk, his legs go and become blocks, right? What do you think he needs? Oh my God, I'm never going to be able to cross this thing. Okay. Or, okay, I'm just going to make myself cross. What do you think would be better?
Yeah, like this is good, I can walk across.
Yeah.
Without problem.
One step at a time.
It's okay. So the thing is, it's almost like your yoga nidra. I have him go, wait, and just take a moment to just kind of breathe and go, I'm not in a hurry. I'm going to make it to the other side. Just have a moment to wait and then start moving, rather than, because pushing just intensifies the stress. And so just waiting has been probably one of my constant success with clients. Learning right when you're like, oh my God, I have to go do this and I don't know, or oh my God, I have to wait, or I have to pee, I have to wait. Okay, let's see where that's at. Will actually move you into that parasympathetic. And so it stops the, the tension and the getting things out. Call that the 6-second hypnosis. Wait. Good, and I have one more piece or suggestion. Who here says, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if I don't have this? What happens with that?
I did that for 6 months after my dad passed away. I kept freaking out. Oh, what am I gonna do if Donnie dies before I do? What am I gonna do? And I think my mom hit me from up there and said, look, you don't have to worry about that right now. He may die before you, or you may die before he does, blah, blah, blah. And so, it calmed me down enough to realize I don't have to worry about that right now. But I was for 6 months freaking out about just that one thing, and it just kept getting worse because I kept freaking out.
Yeah.
I think that's creating the story, right?
Yeah.
You're creating a story, and then
What if this
create a
happens?
set of
But what if I
stories.
then go in here? And what if I end up in the wheelchair? And what if
and
I,
then you
no one,
believe that story,
yes.
and
Yeah.
repeat that story, and even if we're not even conscious of it, that story is still shaping how you react to things.
And that story shapes how you think about the future. Now I'm going to give you guys a challenge though. When I have a client that starts the what if, we actually sit down and create a plan B. So let me give you an example. If you have to turn in a project next week, okay? Or if I have to turn in a project next week, next Friday, And I start going, oh my God, what if I run out of paper? What if I don't have enough ink? Oh my gosh, what if I don't have enough ink, or the printer breaks down on me? What would you say to help me stop worrying?
I say, I bet if your printer breaks down, you can go to the public library and print for free. I just did that recently.
Thank you. What would happen if I knew that I can go to the public library?
Go and not worry.
I'd stop worrying, because worry is what's called frontal fear. It's a fear of something coming at you, mixed with feeling helpless. Something's going to come, it's anxiety. Something's going to come and I am helpless to respond to it. If I have a plan B, no matter how uncomfortable it might be, I stop worrying. So when my clients go, yeah, but what if it's worse? What if it gets worse? We have a session and make a plan. Okay, if it gets worse, let's see what we're going to do. Because you might not like the results of if something gets worse, but when you know you can handle it, when you don't feel helpless about it, you might not be happy about it, but if you don't feel helpless about it, you stop worrying. It becomes a non-issue.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about also just instead of handling, or worrying about the what ifs, that your approach may be, let's just take it where I am right now and deal with the present, or deal with, what's in front of me. Is that also tangible? Does that make sense?
Yes, you need to find out, is it working for me? So if you do that, but if there's a little thing in the background that's like a little 5-year-old that's saying, but what if, but what if, but what if, there needs to be an adult in the room, right? There needs to be someone that's taking care of that thing. Because usually what happens is when you have the what ifs, is because something triggered your very young child self. And she's feeling helpless, and she's feeling something out there is really big for me. And she needs someone has got a handle of it. Even if it's not the best way. Oh my God, what if this happens? Well, I don't know, let it flood. Okay. I guess I could, right? Then it's a solution. Not the best solution, but it will calm it down. Once you have a solution, a plan B, you no longer have to worry. So with my clients, we'll actually sit there and deal with it. All right, you're afraid of people will see you in a, people will see you in a wheel in your walker in your backyard. All right, let's see what's the worst that could happen. And what's the worst that can happen there? And what's the worst that can happen there? All right, can we deal with that? Yeah, I guess we could. All right, then. And it becomes a non-issue.
Even with, I talked to my husband about it, and I told him, I said, I figure, first of all, I have 5 siblings that would help me regardless. And I said, I figure if you die before I do, I'll just go live in mobile home park. And he goes, I wouldn't mind living in mobile home park. And guess what? We live in mobile home park.
See, careful what you're.
And house, because I didn't want to live in that house by myself. Too big a property and all this stuff. And that house we've got a buyer, and we're just waiting for the final approval of their own. And for 6 months though, I had totally, I was like driving myself insane, and glad that someone up above just whacked me over the head and had me sit back and realize I didn't have to worry about it. I came up with my plan B.
Perfect.